And now, game number 1 of the 2024 NCAA Division II Softball Southeast Super Regional.
Palm trees and sunny skies are in the sights of these two teams. It's 4th-seeded Lenoir-Ryne and 2nd-seeded North Georgia here in the 2024 Southeast Super Regional. Game 1 coming up in just a few minutes here on the Nighthawk Sports Network. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Brennan Shabath. Alongside me is my partner, Robert DiClemente. Robert, these are two teams who have met in this spot before, who have a checkered past of postseason play, and we get another postseason series with a chance to go to the 2024 NCAA Division II Softball Championships. On the line, it's Lenoir-Ryne and North Georgia, two of the best programs ever in the Southeast region.
Absolutely. These two teams know what it's like to match up in win-or-go-home situations. We've already seen these two teams face off once this year, 2 times this year in Dahlonega earlier in the season, splitting those two matchups 1-1. A couple of dominant pitching performances from Tybee Denton and Lauren Rakes, who we're going to see today. Should be a super fun super regional this weekend.
The first pitch from Tybee Denton into Madison Wilson, the designated player to start today's game, is ball 1 at exactly 2:30. Originally scheduled for 12 o'clock. And no surprise, as has been the case in Dahlonega all year long, the rain just so timely in preventing us from playing softball. How dare it? Pushed us back 2.5 hours, but we are underway. Rain should stay away till the late hours of the evening tonight. Quickly, 3 balls and no strikes on Madison Wilson. Wilson, a freshman from Pine Hall, North Carolina, and a pitcher, 2-way player for Lenoir-Ryne. She's one of 2 that headline this Bears team that's been good both at the plate and in the circle. Denton does find a strike on the 3-0.
Yeah, the Bears have a handful of dual-threat players on their team, whether they're in the circle or up to bat. They've been making big plays all season long. Going to have a couple on display here in this Super Regional.
3-1, floated foul back over the plate, so Denton fights back into the count. Tybee Denton today named as the D2 CCA, which is College Commissioners Association Southeast Region Pitcher of the Year, adding to her accolades of a fantastic season. Here's the full count, and it's upstairs for ball 4. The day starts with a walk for Tybee Denton, and the Bears have a runner on.
Yeah, it's been a phenomenal season for Tybee Denton, the best of her career, just racking up the accolades. PBC Pitcher of the Year, All-Region Player, Regional Player of the Year, and the Pitcher of the Year in the Southeast. It's been quite the season for Tybee Denton in the circle, and she's looking to keep her season alive here with North Georgia, having to pick up a couple wins here against a very quality Lenoir-Ryne team.
The first 2 games between these teams were all the way back in February, in the middle of the month, and what was the North Georgia Leadoff Classic. UNC Pembroke was here, so was Catawba, as well as Lenoir-Ryne, Lake Erie College as well. Bears and Nighthawks played 2 contests, the first of which went to 10 innings. Tybee Denton pitched 9 1/3 in that, and she gave up 1 earned run, but it was 1 too many as Lenoir-Ryne won that game in the Classic as the home team, despite playing here in Dahlonega, as they walked it off in the 10th, 2-1. A day later, the Nighthawks were the home team and took down the Bears 6-0. So these two teams split against each other already this year. It's 2 balls and no strikes on Julia Mardijan.
The biggest X factor last time out for these two teams, the players we've already mentioned, Tybee Denton had that career-high 15 strikeouts against Lenoir-Ryne in that first game. Only allowed that 1 run and 3 hits.
And ball 3 missing as well. So Tybee Denton struggling to start this game. She's thrown 9 pitches, only 2 of them for strikes. Here's the 3-0 to Mardijan. And she takes ball 4 upstairs.
Yeah, Tybee Denton hasn't struggled in very many categories at all this year. The one category that she has been her walks this year. Her strikeouts are one of the highest marks in the country, 200 plus this season. But her walks are, like we've said before, time and time again, at a rate that she definitely wants to keep down, and that's going to be key for her in this matchup, to keep the walks down and the strikeouts up. She's able to do that. North Georgia has a good chance of coming out of these super regionals victorious.
So no surprise, after 10 pitches and 8 balls, Aaliyah Medina, the assistant coach and pitching coach for the Nighthawks, is out of the dugout and into the circle to talk it over with her starting pitcher. And what do you say this early in a game after leadoff walks?
It's definitely a tough situation here. You want to have a classic Tybee Denton game in this matchup. Both of these teams throwing out their 2 best pitchers here. Even though it's not a must-win game, you still want to take that advantage heading into tomorrow.
It's the freshman catcher, Lonnie Warren, showing bunt and popping it just foul. Warren hitting .345 this season. Some good extra base power. 11 home runs in her first year as a collegiate softball player.
Yeah, she's a big contributor to the home runs on this Lenoir-Ryne team, a team that has been racking them up this year. 89 home runs. That's a top 3 mark in the country. That's definitely been their preferred way of putting runs up on the board, is sending it over the wall.
89 is the second most in program history, and the most since 14 years ago, the 2010 team, who hit a whopping 102 home runs. That 2010 team was one of just 3 that have made it this far in LR program history to the Super Regionals. Every time Lenoir-Ryne has made it this far in the NCAA tournament, they've come here to Dahlonega and they've lost to the Nighthawks.
Yeah, they're definitely used to coming to the Gold City here and playing North Georgia in these big-time situations.
The 1-2 is shattered foul. Most of those home runs for Lenoir-Ryne, it's worth taking a look at, come at home. They're a very good home team on the season, 25-3 in Hickory, but 16-10 away from their campus. Nearly 60% of their home runs this season came at home. For context, North Georgia hit about 45% here in Dahlonega, the rest on the road. The 2-2. Chopped foul, and Warren still fighting. This has been a 6-pitch at bat and a strenuous first inning for Tybee Denton.
It'll be interesting to see how many home runs Lenoir-Rhyne's able to rack up over these next couple of days. We mentioned this during the Columbus State series. North Georgia's field, a little bit bigger than some of the other fields in Division II softball. Not quite sure what the measurements are of the Bear Stadium over there in Hickory, North Carolina. But still, you can never count this team out of any games with their home run production. We've seen plenty of big-time homers for them in the SAC tournament and in the Southeast Regional tournament this past weekend.
2-2 again, outside ball 3. As a team, Lenoir-Ryne hitting .302 this year. The slugging percentage is 202 points higher at .504. Second full count of the inning. The 3-2. Strike 3 called. Warren down looking, and Tybee Denton gets exactly what she needed. It took maybe longer than she wanted, but it is the first out of the game on a strikeout.
And Tybee Denton, she had a really great performance in the circle this past weekend against Francis Marion. Going to look to keep that momentum going into this one, trying to send North Georgia back to the national championships, this time in Orlando, Florida.
So it's now Madison Prim, the freshman third baseman today. Prim out of STEM, North Carolina, and Falls Lake Academy. Takes strike 1 on the outside. 3 freshmen in the top 4 in the lineup for the legendary head coach Sheena Holler in her 27th year overall. Quarter of a century with the Bears in Hickory. On the ground to third, and that is foul. Gracie Mixon had a great opportunity for a double play, but it just gets past the line. Makes it 1-2.
Yeah, these two head coaches, Mike Davenport and Sheena Holler, two of the most experienced you'll find in Division II softball. Between the two head coaches, over 49 years of head coaching experiments, over 2,000 wins combined. Two coaches that have seen it all.
Sheena Holler reached her 1,000th career win, and 974th it was at Lenoir-Ryne this season. She was at Newberry for the first 2 years of her head coaching career. This one's out to short and floated for Moody to make the catch. So after back-to-back walks to start the game, Tybee Denton is 1 out away from getting out of this first inning.
And that was key for Tybee Denton in that first matchup against Lenoir-Ryne, was just keeping traffic off the base pad, something that Coach Davenport has really emphasized this season. Just 8 combined hits between the two squads on February 17th. No one got a base runner on third until the 6th inning of that first matchup.
So it's Cassidy Wall, the right fielder, a junior out of Davidson, North Carolina. In a 1-0 count. Wall takes ball 2 on the outside. Cassidy Wall has been really good as of late, especially in the postseason for Lenoir-Ryne. She was the tournament MVP of the South Atlantic Conference, went 11 for 25 with a pair of home runs in that tournament. Overall, hitting .421 since the regular season ended. And she ropes that one down to left. That one is down and a fair ball. This will score at least 1 run. Wicker picks it up and fires it in. Lenoir-Ryne is on the board first. Cassidy Wall with an RBI rope to left field.
Yeah, right on cue, Brendan. She's been killing it in the playoffs. And a big hit there to start this game out for Lenoir-Ryne, taking the early 1-0 lead over North Georgia. And, we didn't see Lenoir-Ryne score early in either matchup against the Nighthawks earlier this season. Didn't score in that second game and didn't find their 2 runs in the win in game 1 until late.
Brings up first baseman Laura Beth Wood, who takes a first pitch strike. So Wilson scores. Mardigian over to third as Wall is in with an RBI double. Her 13th double this season. Quickly 0-2. Here it is from Denton. And it hit Wood upstairs on the elbow, but the home plate umpire today, which is Roger Potts, I think saying she leaned into it. And Robert, I have to agree, it kind of looked like it.
Yeah, it kind of looked like she slightly leaned into it there, thought about swinging maybe, had a little bit of a hesitation, and
now she swings and misses. Denton with her second strikeout of the inning. But Lenoir-Ryne strikes first blood. Cassidy Wall pounds a double down the left field line to score Madison Wilson. And LR is on the board first in the first of the 2024 Southeast Super Regional here in Dahlonega.
We have a long tradition of athletics at the University of North Georgia. For the past 50 years, our athletic programs have been making a difference for our university. And today, I'm really excited to talk about how we will take that to the next level. When you think about elite athletics, you think about elite performance. Mary Rob, tell me what that means to you.
So elite performance at the University of North Georgia is unique because we have a value proposition unlike anybody else in this country, where we're able to perform at the highest level because of our connections with our Corps of Cadets and our College of Health Sciences and Professions, coupled with our professionals from coaches, athletic trainers, support staff in our Department of Athletics, where we're preparing our student athletes to battle on the field of competition, in the classroom, and in our community. We'll be elite in everything we do.
So today, we are really excited to announce our strategic bet, where we are going to deliver elite performance, elite competition, and the most value-adding Division II athletic program in America. Go Nighthawks.
1-0 Lenoir-Ryne. Nighthawks batting for the first time with Katie Ward, the sophomore second baseman, leading it off in the bottom of the first. And Robert L.R. this season 25-5 when they score first, which they've done here today. The Nighthawks just 7-5 when their opponent scores first. So we're set up for early drama in this best-of-3 series. Game 2 in the series scheduled for noon tomorrow. The rain not in the forecast, so we should be on schedule for that. The if necessary third game will follow immediately after. And first strike to Katie Ward makes it 2-1.
Yeah,
so,
the Nighthawks are going to have their work cut out for them here with one of the best pitchers, one of the best dual threat players just in general in Division II softball, and Lauren Rakes.
2-2 now. Lauren Rakes is both her name and a true statement. She's one of the lead pitchers this year for Lenoir-Ryne. Oh, and she's just hit a measly 15 home runs with a .731 slugging percentage, and she just powers it past Katie Ward there for strikeout number 1.
Yeah, she's been sensational this season. Looking at her stats, like you said, 15 home runs this year to lead the Bears, and just a casual 200 strikeouts on the season to go along with that. She's been absurdly good this year.
She's the first player in Lenoir-Ryne history. She's in her 5th year as a graduate student. First player in Bears history with career 40 home runs and 800 strikeouts. 200 is the number. Make it 201 now after Katie Ward's K this season. She was just recently announced as an NFCA All-Region First Team selection. Get this, NFCA, which is the Coaches Association, All-Region First Team, All-South Atlantic Conference Second Team. Not quite sure how that works out.
Huh. I can't imagine anybody having a better season than what she's had this year.
That one's downstairs to make it 3-1 on the senior catcher, Georgia Blair, who was also announced as a D2 CCA All-Region First Team member today.
Yeah, she's played the best softball of her career in the second half of her senior season. Leads the team in almost every batting category, has a 12-game hitting streak that was snapped in the regionals, but she's bounced back with her team season on the line.
There's ball 4 on the outside to Blair, and that'll bring up Mallory Parker, who's been a deadly hitter for the Nighthawks of late.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. Parker's made some big plays up to bat for North Georgia in the Southeast Regional. She hasn't recorded 3 consecutive multi-hit games all season long until last weekend. 3 2-hit games in a row. One of those hits leaving the yard, too.
Parker takes a strike, much to the dismay of the Nighthawk faithful. 12 for 30 in the postseason with the pair of home runs that you mentioned, Robert. 9 RBIs, ties the most of any Nighthawk since the regular season ended. Her and Madison Simmons with that mark. UNG has 5 different players in this postseason with 8 or more RBIs. They've gotten production from a couple different spots to get them back to the Super Regional for a 4th consecutive season.
Yeah, it's been a balanced attack from these North Georgia bats. There's not really one specific player that you can key in on. A lot of these North Georgia players are going to make you pay when they're up to bat.
So this is the assistant coach, Emily Kenley, out of the dugout to have a conversation with Rakes. After her 5-pitch walk to Blair, she's fallen behind to Parker as well. Mallory Parker had that home run against one of the best pitchers in the region, and Alyssa Poston from Francis Marion in a must-win game this past weekend on Saturday. Followed that up with an inside-the-park home run. It was officially scored a triple and an error.
I think that the call of inside the Parker for Parker, though, you want to give it to her so bad.
Absolutely,
yeah.
It's too perfect. Mallory Parker hit an inside the Parker. Pun intended. Mallory's in a 2-1 here. Trying to see if the Nighthawks can respond quickly to LR's lone run in the top half of this inning. It's 3 balls and a strike. She's already walked 7 times, only struck out once this postseason. And number 8 looms. Parker taking Blair going on the pitch. She is out at second base. What a good throw from Lonnie Warren.
Yeah, that's a huge heads-up play there from Warren. Now you clear the bases, and with 2 outs. Parker in a full count here, though, trying to put another runner back on base for the Nighthawks.
Pitch was in for a strike, so it's now a full count. And Lauren Rakes suddenly is 1 pitch away from getting out of this inning. And it's floated foul, so she'll have to use at least 1 more. Surprised to see Blair go there? Maybe, given that Parker was ahead and just 1 pitch away from maybe walking to first.
Yeah, in that circumstance, it's definitely not expecting to see Blair steal there, but we've seen plenty of stolen bases from the Nighthawks this year.
And there is ball 4 to Mallory Parker. So with 2 outs, the Nighthawks get a runner back, and their doubles machine, and Mary Seal Brumby strides to the batter's box.
Yeah, how about Mary Seal Brumby? She has seen most of her play this season in the second half of the year, and she has been a sophomore standout on this North Georgia squad.
Brumby with 5 doubles in the postseason. No one on North Georgia has more. She's hitting .310 overall, .347 on the year. The 1-0, high fly ball out into right field. Going back as well at the warning track. She reaches up and it's gone! Mary Seal Brumby bombs it to right. Her 6th of the season, 1st of the postseason. Nighthawks suddenly have a 2-1 lead.
Yeah, welcome to the postseason, Mary Seal Brumby. In her super regional debut, gives North Georgia the lead on the biggest bomb that you'll see. Somebody better check their windshield out there in the parking lot.
It looked like at first, Wall, she didn't jump up over that 6-foot wall in right field. She just reached over it, and from our angle, I thought she caught it at first, and then we could see the ball bounce beyond the sidewalk out there past the right field wall to make it 2-1 Nighthawks.
This is the exact answer that you need from North Georgia. You're scoring in the first after the Bears went up 1-0, and it's a big confidence booster for them going forward in this one.
Now another powerful home run hitter, particularly in the postseason. Madison Simmons is in a 1-1 count. The senior playing right field today takes strike 2. Simmons with a pair of home runs in the postseason. Her .514 on base percentage is a team high as well in that stretch. Here's the 1-2. And there's ball 2 downstairs.
Yeah, Simmons is just built for games like this. She only has 1 game in the Southeast Regional without a hit. Got a couple big home runs during that stretch. Has been one of the biggest positives on the batting side for the Nighthawks in postseason play.
Upstairs, full count as Simmons shakes her head. So Rakes that home run to Brumby, the 3rd she's given up in the postseason, the 21st in total on the year. The most innings of any Bears pitcher. The payoff way upstairs, and Lauren Rakes maybe a little rattled after the blast. That's 3 walks this inning. One of them nixed as Blair was caught stealing heading for second. But now with 2 outs, the Nighthawks have a chance to continue this inning. And for those that were tuned in to the Southeast Region 2 tournament, you know how deadly the Nighthawks can be with a pair of outs in the frame.
Yeah, they've thrived with 2 outs up on the board all season long. We've seen a lot of their run production go up with their backs against the wall and 2 outs. They always seem to find a way to extend innings.
Redshirt freshman and designated player Tegan Laval Masonette takes ball 1. This is the new lineup formation that we've seen from Mike Davenport since the loss to Francis Marion, where the offense just could not find anything. He's subbed in Laval Masonette as the DP. She's played every game in that spot, batting in the 6-hole, and she's done well. She had a big RBI double in the Southeast Region 2 final over Francis Marion.
Yeah, Coach Davenport has put a lot of faith and trust into Tegan these last 2 games, and it's paid off, starting every win-or-go-home game for North Georgia, quickly making a name for herself on this Nighthawk squad. Went 2 for 3 against Francis Marion last time out. One of her best games of the season, and one of the biggest games up to that point of the season for North Georgia.
She didn't play at all in the PBC tournament either. She's only played 4 postseason games. She's 3 for 9 in that stretch. She's behind here and just barely catches that one before it blows by, so it's a foul tip. Laval Masonette staying alive.
It's been a couple of uncharacteristic starts here for these 2 superstar pitchers in Rakes and Denton.
The 1-2 from Rakes. Popped up. Is this playable for Warren? By the screen, it just barely slips over. I mean, inches past the netting. Laval Masonette survives. Here's the 1-2. And another foul ball.
This has been a lengthy at-bat here for Masonette, really battling with one of the best pitchers in Division II softball.
This next pitch from Rakes will be number 7. It is outside for ball 2. All of those foul balls just for a 2-2 now. Laval Masonette getting the signs from head coach Mike Davenport down at third base. Simmons still over at first after her full count walk. The 2-2 now. High fly ball to left and well foul. Laval Masonette out in front of the off speed. This will be pitch number 9. I don't even have to tell you.
Then you have to switch camera angles on that one. Another foul ball here. Getting into double-digit pitches for Rakes on this at-bat.
The 10th pitch. Downstairs and inside, so a full count. It's only fitting that this at-bat at least is decided on a full count pitch, huh?
Yeah, this has been a battle here between these 2 players, and North Georgia still looking to extend this inning for Riley Moody on deck.
Val Masonette has earned 12 pitches, and I think earned is the right way to put it. The way she's fighting some good pitchers' pitches, she's fighting them off foul. And it's just so tough for these pitchers to go right back in and fire in another one, another competitive pitch, and try to get her out. One more time, yet again, foul. How about this at bat from Tegan Laval Masonette? 13 pitches. She's fouled off the ball with 2 strikes 7 times.
And this is exactly why she's been starting these last handful of games for North Georgia, that never quit mentality.
Again, it's foul. You ever been this excited for foul balls?
Oh, everyone that comes off the bat of Masonette, it's exciting. The crowd here is getting fired up too, and
now Roger Potts has to restock as well. Tegan's just burning through the surplus.
Yeah, they're putting the administrators and the kids here fetching those foul balls to work.
Still 3-2. 15th pitch is foul. What an unbelievable at-bat. I'm running out of space in this box to keep track of the number of pitches and foul balls. That's 9 2-strike fouls. This is by far the longest at-bat of the season. That's unofficially, but I think it has to be.
Must be.
Here's number 16. In play this time, popped up to the left side. Caitlin Rackard calls off Prim. And after all of that, finally, Rakes gets out of the inning on a 16-pitch at-bat. to Tegan Laval Masonette. But the Nighthawks get on the board and they take the lead. Mary Seal Brumby a 2-run blast. After one, it's 2-1 Nighthawks in the Southeast Super Regional on the Nighthawks Sports Network. Back here in Dahlonega for the Southeast Super Regional 2024 edition. Thank you so much for joining us wherever you're watching from. A little bit delayed today, but we do have softball, and as the forecast looks, we will continue to have softball the rest of today. 2 games scheduled tomorrow, the third being if necessary. So 7, 8, and 9, Lauren Rakes, Kaylin Brown, and Caitlin Rackard will bat for Lenoir-Ryne, now trailing by a run here in the second. Neither of these two stellar pitchers who are facing each other in this at-bat, Tybee Denton and Lauren Rakes, pitching to their usual standards in that first inning. Rakes, 3 walks and a home run allowed. Denton led off the inning with a pair of walks. Also had a pair of strikeouts, but not before an RBI double from Cassidy Wall put LR on the board, and quickly, Tybee's ahead, 0-2.
It's probably not ideal for Rakes to lead off this inning for the Bears after that lengthy matchup against Laval Masonette just a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, she needs to catch her breath, right?
Throwing around 15 pitches to Masonette and having to get an at-bat against Tybee Denton here.
And she swings and misses, kind of a half cut. And strikeout number 3 already for Denton. She's recorded 4 outs. But that at-bat for Lauren Rakes feels like one of those ones where once it ends, you snap back into reality. You wake up from a 4-hour nap and you're like, what year is it? Where am I? Feels like one of those things. What inning are we in?
Yeah.
What's the score?
Oh man, those are the most. Those are sometimes sometimes you need those types of naps.
Those are sometimes the best naps.
Sometimes you need those types of at-bats.
Hey, she got the out at the end of the day. Can't imagine how much worse she would feel had she given up a 16-pitch at-bat and it resulted in a base hit. So this is Kaylin Brown, the center fielder, a sophomore from Charlotte. Brown check swing didn't go. 2 balls and a strike on the pitch inside. She was an all-SAC first-team selection last year. The numbers have dipped a little bit in year 2 from her freshman season. Hit .321 with 3 bombs last year, down to .250 this year. On-base percentage has gone down a little bit, and obviously the slug has with the home run numbers. And a full count now, 3-2. Brown, 9 for 36 in 11 postseason games for LR. Payoff from Denton. Upstairs, ball 4, and the on base is going to go up for Kaylin Brown. So 3 strikeouts and 3 walks for Tybee Denton already.
Now batting the shortstop, number 23, Caitlin Rackard.
Caitlin Rackard, the starting shortstop today. Catching that pop out to end the first inning. All-SAC second team selection this year. She's been sensational since the regular season ended for Lenoir-Ryne.
Oh, yeah, she's been one of the best batters on this Bear squad that has a lot of talented batters on this roster. She has made quite the name for herself this season, and she's got that wrap on her left shoulder. I believe when Lenoir-Ryne came to play us earlier in the season here in Dahlonega, She had that same wrap on her shoulder.
She takes on the 1-1 and does take all the way for strike 2. Record 30 at-bats in the postseason with 14 hits. A lot of them extra bases, an .867 slugging percentage. She had 4 hits in the Southeast Region 1 final on Saturday as the Bears walked off Wingate in 8 innings to get here. And that's something they have done a lot lately. They're 9-2 in their last 11 games. All of those are postseason games. 7 of those 9 wins have come by 1 run. 5 of those 7 are in extra innings. That's an unbelievable stat to look at. Back pick to first after the strikeout and getting back safely, just barely, is Kaylin Brown.
Yeah, you've really seen it all from Lenoir-Ryne this season. They've been keeping you on your toes. Got those 7 one-run games for them. 6 of those coming in back-to-back-to-back games in the SAC tournament. A lot of extra inning games for the Bears as well. They've really been tested.
Single to the right side, quickly on 1 pitch from Madison Wilson as Simmons fires it in. So a pair of 2-out base runners now for Julia Mardigian.
Now batting number 34, Julia Mardigian.
So Brown now in scoring position. Wilson at first. Mardigian, who walked for the first time, into the batter's box.
And she's just been so hard to contain up to bat.
It's away from Blair, and both runners move up 60 feet.
Yeah, one of the craziest aspects of Mardigian's game is just how tough she is to strike out. Has now 227 at-bats coming into the Super Regionals. She's only struck out 4 times this season.
Yeah, that number is a stat that the NCAA keeps classified as toughest to strike out, and the way they do the math is they divide your strikeouts by your at-bats. She's currently striking out once every 56 at-bats.
Wow.
An unbelievable mark. She powers that one foul down the left field line. That's the first strike on Mardigian.
Yeah, she hasn't struck out since April 26.
That's insane. Almost 3 weeks of postseason play primarily without a strikeout. And she's behind 2-2 here. This would be an all-time announcer's jinx, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah.
She's the second toughest player in the country to strike out. Denton's got 4 today. It's a 2-2 with 2 outs.
Yeah, interesting matchup here with one of the toughest players to strike out and one of the best pitchers in the nation at recording those.
Up the middle and through for a base hit. 1 run scores. Another coming around. The throw to the plate's a good one, but not in time. LR's taking the lead. Julia Mardigian back up the box to score 2.
And, of course, if anybody was going to make the Nighthawks pay, it's going to be Mardigian. Like we said, she's been sensational the last 3 weeks and gives Lenoir-Ryne the lead again.
So Mardigian puts LR back in front, 3-2. And now it's Lonnie Warren's turn. She swings at the first pitch, puts it out to left field. Long run for Wicker and foul territory sliding. She won't get there. I think we're hearing a live correction of our pronunciation. It's Laney Warren, L-A-N-I. Our apologies. So now the 0-1 Delaney. Skipped in there.
Laney Warren is another one of those players that's been on a tear. SAC all-conference team, all-tournament team in the SAC tourney a couple of weeks ago.
1-1. This one's roped to left in front of Wicker. She just traps it before firing it in. Lenoir-Ryne with 3 straight hits with 2 outs here in the second.
Yeah, much like North Georgia, the Bears doing a lot of their damage with 2 outs up on the board, too.
These are all solid contact as well, and that concerns Aaliyah Medina. She is out of the dugout to have a conversation with Tybee Denton. So now it'll be Madison Prim with a pair of runners on. It's Mardejan at second, Warren at first. Prim popped out the first time. And there is action in the bullpen for the Nighthawks. That's Kristen Davis warming up on the left side of your screen. Out to right, Simmons backtracking. She makes the catch. So 1 pitch and an out for Tybee Denton against Prim, but Lenoir-Ryne trading blows with the Nighthawks. They pulled back in front, 3-2. UNG batting after the break here on the Nighthawks Sports Network.
I am an NCAA student athlete.
And I pledge to be a champion of unity
on my team, on my campus, and in my community.
I pledge to embrace differences and strive for inclusion and collaboration.
I pledge to stand against racism, hate, and discrimination.
I pledge to strive for love, care, and forgiveness.
I pledge to stand against silence, deceit, and obscurity.
I pledge to strive for dialogue, truth, and understanding.
I pledge to stand against fear and doubt.
I pledge to strive for trust and belief in one another.
I pledge to stand against complacency and stagnancy.
I pledge to strive for change and growth.
I commit to supporting my fellow student athletes in all circumstances that impact them.
I commit to both choosing unity personally and encouraging it for all.
I pledge these things because we are stronger together.
United as one.
Riley Moody, junior shortstop for the Nighthawks, leading off in the second inning for them. She's the 7-hole hitter, so the 8 and 9 are Gracie Mixon and Mariah Wicker for their first at-bats today. Now trailing, the Nighthawks are 3-2. Early in this game, back and forth affair. Runs in every half inning so far. Neither of these pitchers have both been two of the best in this region. Part of the reason they're here in the Super Regional.
Yeah, you only had 8 combined hits the last time these two teams faced off against each other with these two pitchers in the circle. Already got 5 combined now, make that 6.
Moody just over the head of Madison Prim down the left field line. She's chugging for 2. She slides in safely. Riley Moody, a leadoff double. She's come alive in the postseason as well for the Nighthawks. And she's got her first hit today.
Yeah, Moody's arguably played the best softball of the season as of late, batting .357 in the regional tournament. Over at shortstop, too, made a couple of really great plays at one of the busiest positions on the field.
So now brings up Gracie Mixon in an RBI spot, a chance to tie the game. And Mixon, we mentioned 5 players for the Nighthawks with 8 RBIs in the postseason. She's one of them. Helped the big day she had against Flagler in the regional tournament in a win-or-go-home situation. Brought home 3 runs with the bases loaded, then another time with the bases loaded. Walked in a run. Thought about swinging, didn't, and that's a good decision. Says home plate umpire Roger Potts. It's Donald Purnell at first base and Dwayne Shoemate over at third as well. And the appeal down to Shoemate, at third base says she swung. How is that possible? And strike 2 called. So now it's 1-2 on Mixon. It was 2-0, went to 1-1, now 1-2.
That was kind of a late call by The ump over there at third, too.
Mixon now puts it in the air to the left field. Nixon ranging over to her left. She makes the catch. Moody fakes the tag to third. First out of the inning brings up Mariah Wicker.
Number 11, Mariah Wicker.
A couple of speed racers, one at second and one at home for the Nighthawks. See if they use that to their advantage. Wicker, known for her bunt single ability.
And with only one out up on the board, that's definitely in play here for Wicker.
She was the best hitter in that two-game series against Lenoir-Ryne back in February. Went 3 for 6, had a triple in one of those games as well.
Yeah, she was on a tear during the beginning of the regular season. Lenoir-Ryne was one of many great games that she had in the first half of the season.
It's a ball and a strike to the lefty. Shows bunt, pulls it back, ball 2. Now Wicker does drop it down. Rakes picks it up. She does not throw to first. Now Wicker running for second. The throw goes to second. Moody comes home. Nighthawks have tied it as Wicker's still in a pickle. She's trying to get out of it. Now she runs for second base and is tagged out there. But Mariah Wicker does her job coaxing the defense into pulling their attention away from the tying run.
And you can see her running back to the dugout, clapping and with a big smile on her face. Like you said, she did exactly what she was supposed to do there. Ties the game up and brings the speedster Moody home.
So it's a bunt single that I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, went 1-4-3-4 for the putout as Wicker tried to advance to second. Likely not credited with an RBI there as Moody only came home on the throw to second base, and now there's some sort of conversation or decision to be had between our trio of umpires after Sheena Holler said something to Roger Potts. I think Holler was maybe asking if Wicker was in or out of the box at the time she bunted it. And they say she was legally in the box, so we've got a tie ball game.
Yeah, we've seen that a couple times this season where Mariah Wicker's had to walk back into the box after a perfectly placed bunt, but that one there, perfect to tie the game.
Now War deep out to left, but playable for Nixon and into her glove for a quick third out. We have got a good one for you folks. Do you like offense? Because we've got it. 6 runs already in the first 2 innings. We're tied at 3 after 2 in Super Regional Game 1 here in the Southeast region on the Nighthawk Sports Network.
To them, the whole world looks like an opportunity, one to be seized, built upon, and made better for their sport and the people around it. To student athletes, every opportunity is a chance to change what could be and show the world what opportunity can do.
Tybee Denton's day is done. The Peach Belt and Southeast Region Pitcher of the Year pulled after 2 innings because Lenoir-Rhyne's got 3 runs on 4 hits. She also walked 3 batters. So it'll be senior Kristen Davis taking over in the circle to try to stymie this Bears offense.
Kristen Davis played against Lenoir-Ryne earlier in the season, and it was the duo of her and Denton that shut out Lenoir-Ryne and shut out the Patriots also earlier this week.
And Kristen Davis was really good against Francis Marion in that final series of the Southeast Region 2 tournament. She gets ahead of Cassidy Wall with a first pitch strike.
Yeah, she ended up having 6 walks in that game. Didn't matter when she shut out the Bears. Only allowed 1 hit that came in the 6th inning, and a 6-0 to win for North Georgia.
Taking a look around the rest of the country as the regionals, the super regionals, excuse me, all pretty much underway today. Just floated in on the hands right to Gracie Mixon for the first out. Kristen Davis does what Kristen Davis does, and that is soft contact galore. It's out number 1.
Yeah, Davis is one of the best pitchers in not just the PBC, but in Division II, in forcing her opponents into routine plays just like that.
So in the South region, it's 1-seeded Auburn Montgomery, who North Georgia played this year and split a 2-game series with, taking on 2nd-seeded Mississippi College. That's a top 25 matchup. Mississippi College, the 2nd seed in the South region, but the number 6 or number 5, I believe, team in the country. And Auburn Montgomery, a 14-1 win in Game 1. They scored 14 runs in the first inning, as reported to us pregame by North Georgia head coach Mike Davenport. It's a high fly ball out into right field. Simmons going back. So is Parker. Simmons reaches up. She runs into the wall as it's down, and it's only a single for Laura Beth Wood.
That was a long single.
I'm not sure if Wood thought it was going to be caught or thought it was going to be out. She only gets to first. She looks down and gestures at her left foot, which had the protective ankle brace on it, and I think maybe the brace got caught up in her cleats and she couldn't really hustle down to second. So it's just a very long, probably 216-foot single for Laura Beth Wood with 1 out. Brings up Rakes, who struck out her first time. She's behind 0-2 here. In the South Central region, Texas Tyler, the 2-seed, taking on Oklahoma Christian, who upset the number 1 team in the country, West Texas A&M. They have been removed from this NCAA tournament. Texas Tyler beating OK Christian 6-3 in their first game. 0-2 inside, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Yeah, I think since 2015, no team that's been ranked number 1 in the nation has advanced to or won the national championship in Division II softball. West Texas A&M continuing that trend as their season's done.
In the Central region, Augustana, the 4th seed out of South Dakota, taking down Rogers State, the 2nd seed in the first game, 3-2. Out in the West, Western Washington and Cal State Dominguez Hills. Number 1 and a number 6 seed, Cal State that is. Western Washington's up 1-0 in the 2nd inning right now. In the Midwest, UIndy, the number 2 team in the nation, against Trevecca Nazarene, the number 2 seed in the Midwest region. They're scheduled to come up at 4, so they are likely dealing with some rain up there in the Midwest as well. Now a full count on Rakes, and she powers it foul.
This is definitely throwing a bit of a wrench in what was probably initially Coach Davenport's plan to start Denton for this full Game 1 and then put Kristen Davis out there for Game number 2 to try to close out the Bears. And then if this game had to go to a Game 3, if Lenoir-Ryne and North Georgia split, probably see Tybee Denton start that Game 3. So having to make some adjustments on the fly here.
Rakes fouls another 3-2. The advantage is that second game of the series, not until tomorrow, so both pitchers will get a full night's rest. And being the host and home team, they'll do it in their own bed, which certainly has its positives. One more time on the 3-2 to Rakes. Downstairs, ball 4.
Yeah, because North Georgia's been dominating the softball landscape, they have time and time again earned that luxury of hosting regional tournament games at the Hill comes with a lot of advantages, like you said, getting to sleep in your own bed, keeping your daily routine intact, playing in front of a crowd made up of primarily the Nighthawk faithful, and they have definitely earned that, establishing themselves as a powerhouse in this sport.
Kaylin Brown takes a strike. Part of that, we were talking earlier about Lenoir-Ryne's home runs and 60% of their second best in program history, 89, coming at home. I think that's another part of the home field advantage for the Nighthawks. They're used to playing in what's a little bit bigger of a ballpark, and I think we've seen teams who typically can mash the ball come in and kind of struggle to put up the same home run numbers. And, for example, that last single from Laura Beth Wood, deepest part of right center. We mentioned not exactly sure of the measurements, as this one's right on a line to Mariah Wicker for the second out. A strong swing from Brown, but it's a hard line out for out number 2. While we don't know the measurements of Lenoir-Ryne's park, I'd wager that might be a home run. Laura Beth Wood's deep single to right center at their place. Just looking at the numbers and the splits home and away home runs.
Yeah, that was a really good looking swing there from Beth Wood. Keeps it in the ballpark, though.
Just nicked foul by Caitlin Rackard in her second at bat. Rackard struck out the first time up. Kristen Davis trying to give us the first half inning in this game without runs coming across. The 3 consecutive singles, including the 2-run knock by Julia Mardigian in the second inning, all came with 2 outs for LR.
Yeah, these two teams really limited base runners in the first game against each other. Haven't done so in this matchup.
1-1 in for a strike. Good pitch from Davis, up and in on the slap hitting Rackard, who was charging. One and two. This one slapped foul back over the stands. Good crowd on hand today despite the gloomy weather. It is at least warm today.
Yeah, I've had some not so great weather here the past couple weeks in Dahlonega, delaying a handful of big tournament games.
Rackard, a soft one to second base. Ward's got a charge and scoop. She does not do it in time. Rackard beats it out at first, and the bases are loaded for the top of the order and Madison Wilson.
Like we said, Coach Davenport has really stressed keeping traffic off of the base pads this season, and neither team got a runner to third until the 6th inning, the first time they saw each other, and bases are loaded now. The Bears can really make something happen here in the top of the 3rd.
Wilson has reached and scored twice already. She walked in the first and singled in the second. Batting in the 3rd consecutive inning in what's been a highly offensive game. Davis ahead, no balls and a strike. Now an even count.
Yeah, Madison Wilson riding high off of that game-winning walk-off single against Wingate to advance to the Super Regionals, bringing a lot of momentum here to the Gold City.
Came in the same situation, bases loaded. I believe there was only 1 or 0 outs at the time. Two-one, right back to Davis. It's off her glove. Ward picks it up, steps on second, and they do it all before the run scores. We're still level at 3. A rocket back to the pitcher off of the bat of Wilson, but the Nighthawks able to get the out and get out of the bases loaded jam. They'll bat in the 3rd after these words on the Nighthawks Sports Network.
Number 32, Kyle Hornsby. NCAA and its member schools offer nearly 500,000 college athletes a path to go pro in something other than sports. Learn more at ncaa.org.
So Tybee Denton, the starter for the Nighthawks, is out of the game. Lauren Rakes still in the circle. She will probably not ever be removed completely from this game because she's hitting in the lineup as well in the 7-hole today. But for right now, she does remain in the circle in a 3-3 ball game. Our first half inning in which no runs came across, and we sure were pretty close to having some. Bases loaded, 2 outs, and a hot shot back to the pitcher, Davis, and scooted to second base where Katie Ward was able to pick it up and step on the bag for the unassisted putout to end the inning.
Yeah, that was a potentially game-changing play there by Katie Ward. Saved at least 1 run, probably 2, from the Bears to keep this game even at 3-3.
Now Rakes and the Bears are going to try to accomplish the same feat and hold the Nighthawks scoreless. They've got a tough part of the lineup to do so. 2, 3, and 4, Blair, Parker, and Brumby. The way they batted in the first, walk, 2-run homer. Blair takes up and in as she just dances out of the way.
Yeah, Blair's had her work cut out for her in the last about 2 months or so of softball, stepping up big when Jolie Lester went out for the season. Sophie Mooney's been out for quite some time. Her bat has been the best as of late here for North Georgia.
Speaking of Jolie Lester and Sophie Mooney, people don't know just how good those two are and how big of a loss that is for the Nighthawks. Both of them, despite playing less than 40 games this season. Jolie's played 27 games. Blair out into left center field. That one's hit well. Ranging over is Brown. She reaches up. She can't make the catch. Blair racing for second base, and she's in there with a leadoff double. Georgia Blair, a great swing to the gap in left center, and just too far for Kaylin Brown to track it down. Nighthawks have the first runner on.
Yeah, and of course, Georgia Blair getting 2 bases out of that. Very rarely will you see her stop in her tracks at first. She's always going for 2 bags if she gets a hit. That was a good-looking one there into left center field to put a runner on and in scoring position for Mallory Parker.
Parker singled and scored on the Brumby home run. She hits this one out to left. That ball's deep, and it is caught, though, right in front of the warning track by Abby Nixon. A good opposite field swing for Parker. But Rakes and the Bears do get a much-needed out against a dangerous hitter.
Yeah, that was a big out there by Lenoir-Ryne. Mallory Parker has been on fire here in these regional playoffs and puts an out up on the board and keeps Blair at bay over there at second base.
The lefty Brumby homered on the second pitch of her first at-bat. Last time against Lauren Rakes. It was in a 1-0. She's in a 1-0 now. Make it 2 balls and no strikes as Brumby takes. So going back to our thoughts on Jolie Lester and Sophie Mooney, the absent stars for the Nighthawks. Jolie Lester got hurt in that Auburn-Montgomery series that we mentioned. Never came back after that. 27 total games for her. Sophie Mooney with a couple games this postseason is right near 40 now. But at the time of voting, neither of them more than 37 games. And still, both of them, by the D2 CCA and the National Fast Pitch Coaches Association, all Southeast region first team. Both of them. Jolie Lester's missed half the season. That goes to show you how good those two players are and how much they mean and how big of a loss they have been for the Nighthawks as Brumby walks on 4 pitches. Rake staying away after the home run in the first.
Yeah, Jolie Lester was on track to have a historic season for North Georgia until she went down with that ACL injury. And Sophie Mooney, of course, you know, one of the best batters in Division II softball, 2023 National Championship MVP. Those are 2 big losses for North Georgia. And the fact that they're in the situation that they're in right now in the Super Regionals, without those 2 players, really goes to show how impressive the Nighthawks have been as of late. And a lot of players stepping up into some big spots here for North Georgia. Madison Simmons, one of them, who didn't get a lot of run last year, has made some big plays in tournament play.
Simmons takes outside 1-1. Jolie Lester, and obviously you never know how the season is going to progress. But we can go off of what we had. And it's not a small sample size. It's half the year. It's 27 games. She was on pace for 82 hits and a .450 batting average this year. 82 hits as it stands right now would be 17 more than any Nighthawk this season. And that was calculated as not including the postseason. That was in just the regular season. And Simmons, is that off her bat? She runs down to first. Home plate umpire Roger Potts calling time. And it hit Simmons, I think he's saying, off her elbow.
It looked like it clipped something, and she's shaking her hand over there.
Yeah, kind of like it caught the funny bone on that left elbow. That's what she's tapping. Sheena Holler is unsure of the call. They say no swing. So it's a hit by pitch to load the bases. And now Holler will pause to have a conversation with Rakes. Nobody warming up in the Lenoir-Ryne bullpen that we can see. Bases loaded, one out for the Nighthawks. Kind of out of nowhere, Robert.
Yeah, this is a big opportunity here. You got to pay this off if you're North Georgia here in the bottom of the third inning. And like we've said time and time again this year, bottom of the third, bottom of the fourth, really the heart of the game is where North Georgia has done the most damage when it comes to putting runs up on the board. And they've got a good opportunity to do so here with bases loaded, just one out, and Laval Masonette up to bat, who's been playing some of her best softball here in regional play.
The Nighthawks, 43% of their runs this season coming in the third and fourth innings. They're outscoring teams 92-25 in the third inning and 94-35 in the fourth inning. Those are staggering numbers.
And Coach Davenport knows what his team can do here. Puts a speedster on second now in Caroline Branch.
And so now Sheena Holler may be going to tinker with her lineup. She's got her card out, talking to Roger Potts. And popping out of the dugout for Lenoir-Ryne is number 15, Faith Kerrigan. She will take over for Lauren Rakes. So we do end up having a new pitcher with the change for Mike Davenport. So we'll step aside as Kerrigan gets ready in the circle after the pitching change for Lenoir-Ryne on the Nighthawk Sports Network.
Now pitching for the Bears, number 15.
To them, the whole world looks like an opportunity, one to be seized, built upon, and made better for their sport and the people around it. To student athletes, every opportunity is a chance to change what could be and show the world what opportunity can do.
Faith Kerrigan, a sophomore from Taylorsville, North Carolina, into the circle now to try to get the Bears out of a bases-loaded jam with one out here in the third inning against the Nighthawks.
Faith Kerrigan, another one of those utility players like Lauren Rakes, where she's done some damage in the circle, done some damage up to bat too, and only got around 63 innings of work this season for Lenoir-Ryne. Just putting a big spot here against the Nighthawks with the bases loaded.
Game tied at 3. Laval Masonette takes strike one from Kerrigan. Kerrigan out of Alexander Central High School. A 4.41 ERA in those 63 innings that you mentioned, Robert. Really good strikeout to walk ratio. 11 walks in 63 innings, 71 Ks as well. The damage has been the hitting and somewhat the extra base hitting for opponents. 2 balls and a strike.
Yeah, you really like to see that ratio there from Kerrigan. 71 strikeouts in 63 innings. Definitely impressive from her, and she's going to have to add to that total here. She wants to keep the Bears into this game, keep this a tied ball game going into the fourth.
Laval Masonette chopped to third and a foul ball. taken a 16-pitch at bat, her first time up, that resulted in an inning-ending pop-out of the first inning. She's waiting on a measly pitch number 5 right now.
Yeah, this is considered a short at-bat for her in this matchup.
Kerrigan checks the wrist, looks at the dugout, and time call. A little bit of confusion. Lainey Warren, the catcher, calling time. Georgia Blair led things off with a double before a fly out from Parker. And a walk and hit batter put us where we are. Bases loaded. Laval Masonette out into center. That one dropping into no man's land, and it gets away from Brown. Branch stops at third, and Branch still at third base. Mike Davenport begging her to go home. Georgia Blair has already scored to put the Nighthawks in front, 4-3. They'll play station to station with the bases still loaded.
Yeah, that's because it could have easily been a 5-3 game if Branch had come home, and she's one of the quickest players on this North Georgia team. But still, they take the advantage and take the lead. Bases are still loaded for Riley Moody.
So Laval Masonette gets an RBI on the bloop single. Simmons up to second. Branch over to third, and Blair into score. Nighthawks back in front 4-3. Moody doubled and scored last inning. Inside strike. This feels like the best opportunity the Nighthawks are going to have thus far in the game to break open the scoring in what's been a back-and-forth affair. Moody's been swinging a big bat, the 1-1. She hits it back up the middle for a base hit. Branch in to score. Simmons coming around. The throw is cut off. Over to third. It gets away. Laval Masonette's going to score. Here comes Moody. It's another inside the park home run. The second in as many games for the Nighthawks. It's a 5 spot in the third.
Wow, and how about that? And an inside the park home run with the bases loaded. That was a costly throw to third from Lenoir-Ryne that got away, and this is why North Georgia has thrived all year long in these third and fourth innings. Shown again here, a 5-run third, and these Nighthawk bats have come alive here in the heart of this game.
So it should be 2 RBIs to Moody, as Laval Masonette and herself both scored on the errant throw to third. Simmons and Branch will be the RBIs, and Sheena Holler now shaking her head all of a sudden. They're down 5 runs here in the third.
And we were just talking about how, Coach Davenport was maybe getting on to Branch a bit over there at third for not coming home. I think certainly made up for that there with Riley Moody.
And that's what the aggressive base running that the Nighthawks have built this program on, and Mike Davenport has made their name. That's what it can do. It forces plays like that. It puts pressure on the other team, forces the defense to make plays, and they couldn't do it there. 5 runs have come across this inning. It's now 8-3. I think Sheena Holler did something with the defense. I didn't see Roger Potts signal up to the press box yet. He just told something to Mike Davenport. As far as we can observe, it looks the same. So now Gracie Mixon with 1 out and the base is empty. Will bat for the second time today. She takes inside for ball 1. Mixon had a good swing her first at bat, but it resulted in a deep fly out to left. Chopped to third and foul.
And last year's Super Regional against Wingate, it was a lot of veterans on this North Georgia roster who made some big plays up to bat. Gracie Mixon, one of them, had a walk-off double to secure the 8-0 run rule win in Game 1 of last year's Super Regional. When it comes to these big moments, expect to see some Mixon magic.
Up the middle, diving. Caitlin Rackard can't get there. Gracie Mixon continues the onslaught in the third.
And this is what North Georgia has to do in this game if they want to come away with the win, is testing Rackard over there at shortstop. Lenoir-Ryne only with 51, make that 52 errors on the season after the one coming in this inning. 13 of them have come from Rackard this season. She's had her up and downs over there at shortstop, and this inning stays alive here for North Georgia, even though that's not an error recorded on the scoreboard.
They're not only testing Rackard this inning, but just testing the entire defense in this game as well. Wicker to second. This is a chance for two. Rackard picks it up at second base, and Mixon is out. She can't throw it to first. It's actually incorrect. There's no chance at a double play with Mariah Wicker running down the line.
Yeah, Mariah Wicker in a blink of an eye is going to make it to first when she's up to bat. Very rarely will you see her walking back to the dugout on a double play. The lineup now flips over to Katie Ward. She's still looking to join in on the fun. A strikeout and a fly out so far today. Only Nighthawk that hasn't at least reached base once. Katie Ward's been so important to this team all season long. Started the year as the cleanup hitter. Earned her spot at the top of the batting order after Lester went down for the season. She's been huge for this North Georgia squad this year. It's also great to see her back in the lineup, too, after she went down into concussion protocol against Francis Marion last time out.
A little defensive collision with a runner from Francis Marion while she was in the field at second base on a ground ball off of the pitcher Davis and towards Ward up the middle. One and two now on Katie, way upstairs. She's the ninth batter to the plate this inning.
That was a nice job, though, by the catcher Warren, keeping Mariah Wicker from advancing to second on that almost wild pitch.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Wicker going, but it's fouled. Wicker goes on the pitch. It's flown in the air to center. Brown gets it. And the Nighthawks are finally done in the third inning. 5 runs come across. Riley Moody highlights things with a single up the middle, turned inside the park home run, bringing home 4 runners. And the Nighthawks lead at 8-3 on the Nighthawks Sports Network.
NCAA and its member schools offer nearly 500,000 college athletes a path to go pro in something other than sports. Learn more at ncaa.org.
Number 32, Kyle Hornsby. Inside the 30, touchdown.
The NCAA and its member schools offer nearly 500,000 college athletes a path to go pro in something other than sports. Learn more at ncaa.org.
Mardijan leading things off. Now suddenly a 5-run deficit in the top of the 4th inning. If you missed it, you missed a big 3rd inning. The Nighthawks finally shut out Lenoir-Ryne in a frame for the first time. Kristen Davis barely did so with the bases loaded and 2 outs. Just getting out of it with a tough line drive back to her. That eventually the play was made off her glove at second base by Katie Ward. And in the bottom of the inning, it was a double from Blair, a fly out from Parker, had 1 on and 1 out. Then it went walk, hit by pitch, RBI single, and then with the bases loaded, Riley Moody singled back up the middle, and an errant throw scored 2 runs, including Moody herself on a Little League trip around the bases to bring home 5 runs in the frame for the second-seeded Nighthawks.
Yeah, if the North Georgia was going to break through at any point during this game, it was either going to be in last inning or in this inning. They've done most of their damage this year. That's a big 5-run third inning from them. Could be the deciding factor.
Mardijan to third, Mixon off her knee, pops up and throws to first for the first out.
But even with North Georgia holding this 5-run lead against Lenoir-Ryne, with the home run capabilities of this team and the way that they've fought through these regional tournaments and the SAC tournament, they've had a couple of big comebacks as well. They are still maybe down, but not out of any game when it comes to the regional tournament.
Lauren, a strikeout and a single so far today. On the ground is short. Moody, an easy play. And it seems like the way the game and its complexion has changed in the third inning has translated to the bats of Lenoir-Ryne. 2 soft ones in the first 2 at-bats of the fourth.
Yeah, going against Kristen Davis, like we said earlier, one of the best pitchers in Division II softball at forcing her opponents into routine plays just like that. And Nighthawks trying to get their bats quickly back up to bat to try to extend this 8-3 lead that they hold.
8 runs for North Georgia in this game, just the 5th time all season LR has given up that many or more in a contest. In those 5 games, or in the 4 games previously, I should say, this being the 5th, the Bears are 1-3. Madison Prim at the plate. She's the only Bear who hasn't reached in some capacity thus far today. A pair of contact outs, and she won't reach here. Kristen Davis sends her down looking. The first strikeout of Kristen Davis's day. 5th time the Bears have struck out, and it's a 1-2-3 inning in the 4th. Nighthawks in cruise control now, a 5-run lead to look to add to it after these words on the Nighthawk Sports Network.
Part of America's Gold Rush stands a beacon of leadership, tradition, and excellence. A university that has always led the way, forging an environment for broad-based academics, world-class athletics, and tomorrow's military leaders. The University of North Georgia. Learning and leadership, passion and preparation, transformation and tradition. We are the University of North Georgia.
Faith Kerrigan came on in relief of Lauren Rakes last inning. And that's going to be the inning circled on everybody's box score when this game is over. As it stands right now, 5 runs, the Nighthawks putting them up by as many. So Lauren Rakes was responsible for 2 of the 3 base runners that scored on that bases loaded single slash inside the park home run for Riley Moody. Her final line reads 2 1/3 innings, 4 hits, 6 runs, all of them earned because the 2 unearned runs, Faith Kerrigan was responsible for those runners. Rakes also had 3 walks and only 1 strikeout. So very atypical day for both starting pitchers in this game. So Blair led off last inning with a double. She's in a 1-1 count here.
Yeah, I don't think it was on anybody's bingo card coming into this matchup that Tybee Denton and Lauren Rakes not in the circle right now for either of these teams. Those 2 pitchers combined for 22 strikeouts last time.
Blair sliced to right. Wall makes the grab after a few side shuffles to her left. Mallory Parker's turn.
I think that you could tell here with some of the Lenoir-Ryne fans is that they are not fazed because they have seen all season long this team play in some close games and make some big comebacks, and so they know what this team is capable of in these big spots.
I think the only thing you have to be worried about is with the way the Nighthawk offense batted in the third and the way they've batted all season long, you may not have 7 innings to mount a comeback. We know if they get a base runner in this inning, Mike Davenport's going to go for the jugular and try to extend that lead to 8 runs and end this as soon as possible. Up and in on Parker. And strike 2 from Kerrigan. Still looking for her first strikeout since coming on. She's faced 7 batters and allowed 4 hits in that time.
I don't think it can be understated how good Mallory has played here in this comeback season.
Parker lined to center but caught. Kaylin Brown buckled her knees and dropped down a little bit to make the catch. A nice play.
That was nice fielding there from Lenoir-Ryne, taking care of 2 of the best batters on this North Georgia squad in this inning to put 2 outs up on the board. But, with 2 outs and in the bottom of the 4th inning, those are 2 places where the Nighthawks have thrived this year.
So peeking around the rest of the bracket nationally in the Atlantic region, Charleston in West Virginia and Kutztown, the 4 and 3 seeds respectively, 3 and 4 seeds respectively. Charleston, the 3, just went final not too long ago in their first game. The 3 seed Charleston winning that one 5-1. So out of the Sweet 16, the Nighthawks, one of just 6 2 seeds to remain alive. Lenoir-Ryne, one of just 3 4 seeds that's made it to the Supers. Brumby here in a 3 balls and no strikes count. She's already walked and homered today. She takes a strike.
And she has been a perfect example of the next man up mentality for North Georgia. Had to sit behind Olivia Sinkfield and Sophie Mooney last year, and with Sinkfield graduated and Mooney injured, it's been Brumby who's stepped up huge for North Georgia in these last handful of weeks.
She walks again, and that on-base percentage just skyrocketing today. Home run, walk. The first 2 times she scored, and with 2 outs, it's never out of the question for the Nighthawks that she might do that again. Madison Simmons with some power at the plate.
Yeah, it's just so hard to keep the Nighthawks off base all season long, whether they're drawing a walk like Brumby did there, or adding to their massive hit totals this season. It's just been near impossible to keep the Nighthawks off base.
Simmons takes ball 2. She's ahead 2 balls and no strikes. Was hit by the pitch last inning. feels like that kind of sparked the rally. Obviously, Blair got things started with the double. Then Brumby walked to make it first and second with one out. And Simmons was in the midst of her at bat, and who knows how that goes if Rakes doesn't hit her close up and in on that left elbow. And after that was when Laval Masonette singled to bring home a run, and then Moody's 2-run single. 3 balls and no strikes on Simmons now.
Yeah, I definitely think that last at-bat for Madison Simmons may have gotten Lenoir-Ryne a bit riled up, as she was hit by pitch, but there was a little bit of controversy, at least from Lenoir-Ryne trying to plead their case there. That ended up loading the bases and led to that 5-run inning in the third.
So there's strike one on Simmons. She hasn't had to take the bat off her shoulder today. Now a full count.
Yeah, it's surprising that haven't seen Madison Simmons have to do too much up to bat in this game. She's been one of the best hitters in the regional tournament for North Georgia. A couple big home runs for Simmons, and her work's been pretty easy so far through these first 4 innings.
Payoff, and strike 3 called. Simmons can't believe it. Down and in part of the strike zone. So Kerrigan survives, gets out of it, keeping the Nighthawks scoreless for the first time in an inning today. 8-3. Can Lenoir-Ryne spark a comeback? They need it now. And the Southeast Super Regional on the Nighthawks Sports Network. Five, 6, and 7 hitters, starting with Cassidy Wall, looking to start a comeback for Lenoir-Ryne. They need it, and they need it now.
If anybody's primed to start this comeback for the Bears, it is going to be Cassidy Wall. SAC tournament MVP, had 4 multi-hit performances in tournament play. Recorded a hit in every single SAC tourney game.
Skied in the air to the left side. Moody long run, Wicker as well, both into foul territory, and it's Wicker who makes the catch for the first out.
Another example of Kristen Davis forcing Lenoir-Ryne into a play like that, where the fielding behind her and her teammates don't have to do too much to get the out.
So it's 1-0 now on Laura Beth Wood. Upstairs, 2-0. Rakes will be next. Excuse me, not Rakes. It's going to be Kerrigan hitting for herself after subbing in for Rakes in the circle.
And that's an advantage for Lenoir-Ryne. Like we said, a lot of utility players on this team where Bears are making plays in the circle and up to bat.
And outside, ball 4 on 4 pitches.
Yeah, Kristen Davis had a handful of walks last time she saw Lenoir-Ryne. 6 walks in that matchup, but 6 strikeouts to match it, and she's got a handful of both already in this one.
So quickly a pinch runner popping out of the dugout for Sheena Holler. It's Erin Lookabill, the sophomore out of Polkton, North Carolina, taking the place of Wood.
Now batting number 15, Faith Kerrigan.
So here's Kerrigan, just her 33rd at bat this season. See if they send Lookabill here with 1 out, try to get her into scoring possession for Kerrigan. It's 5 straight balls for Kristen Davis, so Georgia Blair popping up and into the circle.
That's usually the magic number for Georgia Blair. On 5 balls, that's going to cause a meeting in the circle, which typically pays off. You like to see those meetings when it's, just the players in the circle for Georgia Blair and Kristen Davis. Sometimes get assistant coach Aaliyah Medina out there as well. Those visits to the circle usually pay off as well, resulting in either a strike or a strikeout to follow.
Finally, Davis gets a strike after 6 straight outside the zone. It's actually 8 it was because Cassidy Wall flew out to left on a 2-0. Now here's 2-1 to Kerrigan. On the ground foul over towards first base. Two to first. Brumby foot on the bag already. Throw down to second. Double play. Or not. So they said, I thought Moody tagged Lookabill over at second base. They said she only had her foot on the bag, and it's obviously not a force out because Mary Seal Brumby had already stepped on first base. So Lookabill is safe at second, so it's only 1 out. I thought she tagged her.
Yeah, it looked like that was going to be double play territory for North Georgia, but keeps this inning going. Runner still in scoring position for the Bears, trying to add something here onto the scoreboard. Haven't scored in the past 2 innings, trying to change that here.
Kaylin Brown. A walk and a line out so far. Her line out was an absolute scorcher to left back in the 3rd. Davis ahead 0-2. Softly into center and dropping for a base hit. Holding the runner at third is Sheena Holler. The throw comes to Georgia Blair. Now she throws down to second, and out right there is Brown. That ends the frame. A little too aggressive. Kaylin Brown trying to get an extra base. Georgia Blair says, I don't think so. That ends the top of the 5th. It's 8-3 Nighthawks in the Southeast Super Regional. Game 1 here on the Nighthawk Sports Network.
Excellence, integrity, care, curiosity. These are the values that define who we are. A community of thinkers, competitors, and achievers passionately pursuing the path of a purpose-driven life. Because at Lenoir-Ryne University, we are called to greatness. We are LR.
So the first 3 innings of this game saw 11 runs. Bears had 1 in the first and 2 in the second. Nighthawks flip-flopped, 2 in the first, 1 in the second. And then they exploded for 5 in the third. Since then, both teams held scoreless thus far. LR has not scored since the second inning. In a game that, Robert, when it started, I think you and I were both thinking, oh boy, we're in for a long one today with all the offense that we're seeing thus far.
Yeah, it looked like it was going to be a shootout between these two teams at the beginning of the game, scoring in the first 2 innings, North Georgia and Lenoir-Ryne doing that. And since then, the Bears haven't been on the scoreboard. Nighthawks have since broken through since then, and this looks like a game that we're accustomed to seeing.
Laval Masonette out into left field for a knock. She's got a pair of hits today. 2 singles and a 16-pitch at bat. That's not a bad day.
Absolutely not.
That's getting your money's worth is what it is.
Absolutely, and Laval Masonette, she's been quickly making a name for herself on this North Georgia roster, starting in every single win-or-go-home game for North Georgia up to this point. Been put in a big spot in her first season as a Nighthawk, and it's paid off.
Moody's showing bunt. She's got a pair of knocks today as well, a single and a double. The single turned into an inside-the-park home run in the third. Really have to give credit both to Tegan and to head coach Mike Davenport for the way this has worked out since she's been inserted into the lineup. A perfectly placed bunt right back to the pitcher, Kerrigan. Moody safe at first. The throw down to second to get Laval Masonette after her strong turn is not in time. First 2 on in the 5th. And the Nighthawks are eyeing that run rule territory now. The winning run at the plate in Gracie Mixon.
Like we said earlier, Gracie Mixon had that walk-off win against Wingate in the Super Regionals last year, leading to that 8-0 win for North Georgia. In Game 1, it's kind of a similar situation here.
First pitch to Mixon up and in the strike zone. Gracie with 5 home runs on the year. She does have 1 in this postseason. Came back in the Peach Belt tournament. Did they say Mixon pulled that back in time, or was it a foul ball? And so they're saying foul ball. They'll send both the runners back. That makes it 0-2. It's the quietest foul ball ever.
A big call, though, because instead of
the
count being 1-1, it's 0-2. And
it also would have been 1-1, runners on second and third.
Yeah, that could have been the deciding factor.
Now can Mixon fight back into this at bat? No more bunting for her. She swings and misses on a great pitch from Kerrigan. Faith Kerrigan with her 2nd strikeout. And now Mike Davenport flips the lineup card out of his back pocket, and we'll see what he's got in store here. This looks like Grayson Perry batting in place of Mariah Wicker.
Yeah, not surprised to see Grayson Perry come out of the dugout here in this situation. She's had some big pinch hits for North Georgia as of late, was a consistent part of the starting lineup until Laval Masonette has been taken over as the DP over these last handful of games. Hasn't mattered, though, for Perry. She's gotten some at-bats in all of these regional games. Had that no-doubter against Flagler last weekend.
And we never got to finish that thought about Laval Masonette and how her and Davenport deserve so much credit for that move, because the offense was kind of stagnant, but you never expect this North Georgia offense. It happened after they lost to Francis Marion 2-1 in 9 innings. And Alyssa Poston is a really great pitcher, and you could have written that off as a good pitching performance and an off day for a really good offense that very rarely is only going to put up a run. But he saw something that concerned him enough to tinker with the lineup and change things around. Not only change the order, but change the players. He put Laval Masonette in as the DP. She's had 5 hits since then, and she's been really good bringing home some runners, and she's been ready to take over that spot, that next man up mentality as Perry pops it up. There is room, but it's off the glove of Lainey Warren. She couldn't hang on to it. That should have been the second out. But Davenport seeing the change that needed to be made, making that change, and Laval Masonette executing what she needed to do and doing her job. Both of them fantastic, and it's really helped them as of late.
Yeah, and usually you want to go what you're comfortable with if you're in these big situations. And Coach Davenport going with Laval Masonette, who hasn't started a ton of games this season. I believe it was only 16 up to that point where she got reinserted back into the starting lineup, and it has worked really well for him, putting a young player and a new face on this North Georgia lineup in these big spots.
2-2 up the middle and through into center field. Laval Masonette racing home. She scores standing up. Down to second goes Perry. Moody's over at third. And the Nighthawks have the game-winning run in scoring position with 1 out in the 5th.
And Grayson Perry, even though she's been coming in as a pinch hitter for North Georgia, not in the starting lineup, it hasn't mattered. She has absolutely made the most of her at-bats. Another one there. And she now puts the Nighthawks up by 6 runs here in this one.
And so now Wicker back in to quote-unquote pinch run for Perry, who hit for her. Perry's now at second base. Moody over at third, and the top of the order up. With only 1 out, this game inching closer and closer to a run rule completion.
Yeah, North Georgia, no strangers to the run rule win. Like you said earlier, Brendan, that's definitely something that Coach Davenport wants to go for when the opportunity presents itself, especially against a Lenoir-Ryne team that's really, really good when it comes to late game situations. They played in a lot of extra inning games this year and been on the winning end of a lot of those 6-2 in those extra inning games for them. And so Coach Davenport wants to get the job done early.
Katie Ward still looking for a hit today or to reach in any capacity. That one's foul. Her, Parker, and Simmons are the only ones to not have a hit. Parker and Simmons have both reached. Simmons reached twice already today.
And that's just an example of the Nighthawks keeping Lenoir-Ryne on their toes with these top 3 batters on this North Georgia squad not recording a hit. If you had said to begin this game that Ward and Simmons and Parker wouldn't have a hit up to this point, would have been hard to believe.
No balls and 2 strikes. Ward's falling behind. Kerrigan trying to pick up her second out and still give her team a chance. Upstairs and inside. Count even now, 2-2.
Once North Georgia has seen a team once, especially twice, they seem to really dial in on the ins and outs of their opponents. North Georgia has played a third game against 9 different teams this season, 9-0 in those third meetings.
Seems like it's not only in the third game, but we talk about their third and fourth innings. That's typically the second time through the order. All right, I've seen this starting pitcher before. I know what she's got. Now let's attack. That's where they've put up almost 200 runs of their 430 this season in the third and fourth innings when they're coming around a second time. Ward check swing softly to second, but that is over the head of Mardejan. She can't haul it in. Moody and Wicker move up 60 feet. It's double digits for the Nighthawks. They've put up a 10 spot. Georgia Blair could end it here.
This is definitely not the player that the Bears want to see in this situation. Runners on the corners, and the Nighthawks' best batter stepping into the batter's box in this situation. This could be dangerous here for the Bears, and it looks like Coach Davenport's going to put Sydney Blair over there on first base, another speedster.
So Ward does end up getting her hit. And so that's Sydney Blair, no relation to the batter Georgia Blair, who represents the winning run should Wicker somehow not score. I think the play here is for let Georgia Blair swing as hard as she can, let it get to the outfield, and Wicker will find a way to come home from third whether it lands or not. Nighthawks looking to pounce early in this Super Regional Series. Inside, Blair heading down to second, and she slides in. The ball gets away. Wicker didn't come home on what was probably a design double steal. Blair's safe over at the base. So now it's all about Georgia Blair. Really surprised to see Lainey Warren even throw down to second, even take that risk. 1-0, Blair hacks at it, but it goes foul.
Yeah, that was a game-saving play there by the fielding from Lenoir-Ryne. Had that ball gotten away from second, this game is over.
Also, Wicker probably could have just gone on the throw and scored easily. She obviously doesn't know that Blair's going to slide into the ball and it's going to scoot away, but still. So Georgia just whisks another one foul. Deep breath as she paces around the home field circle on the 1-2. Another foul ball.
What a year it's been for Georgia Blair. Also named to that all-region team earlier today. She's been racking up the accolades this year, and what has been her best season as a Nighthawk. Got to give her her flowers.
Can she win it for them? Not this time. Strikeout number 3 for Kerrigan. And it'll be up to Mallory Parker to try to end this game here in the 5th.
We didn't get to talk about this much on Mallory Parker's last at-bat, but the fact that she missed almost all of last year due to an injury and has come back this year and put up some career-high numbers across the board, it's been really, really impressive to watch from Mallory Parker.
Up and in. As we mentioned, Parker has reached with a walk in the first, but she is still hitless today. Tough spot for Kerrigan. You don't necessarily want to have to pitch to Parker, but if you walk her with first base open, you've got Mary Seal Brumby next, who's already homered and walked twice today in just 3 plate appearances. There's strike 1 to Parker.
Yeah, tough spot here with one of the best batters on this North Georgia squad up to bat right now, and Brumby, who has reached base on every single plate appearance today.
Smacked foul the opposite direction, 2-2. Game 2 in the series scheduled for noon tomorrow, right here on the Nighthawks Sports Network. Parker can't end it there on the foul ball. Lenoir-Ryne has never gone to the Division II championships. Nighthawks are trying to go back there for a 4th consecutive season to give themselves an opportunity to defend their title. It's outside, 3-2 in this game. Big for who pulls in front early in the series, and right now, single here from Parker will win it. Full count, 2 down. She puts it out to right, and that will do it. Nighthawks with a run rule win in Game 1 of the Super Regionals. Mallory Parker gets her first hit of the day as she brings home Mariah Wicker to end this one in 5, 11-3 Nighthawks.
And a great win here for North Georgia to open up this Super Regional. That's now back-to-back Game 1s of the Super Regional where North Georgia has run-ruled their opponent, and they're doing all this without Jolie Lester and without Sophie Mooney in the lineup. A great performance here from the Nighthawks to open up this Super Regional, and tomorrow it's going to set up some interesting game or two between the Bears and the Nighthawks as North Georgia looks to go back to the national championship, like Brendan said, for the 4th consecutive season.
A 5-run third inning and a 3-run fifth inning propel North Georgia to a 1-0 lead in the 3-game series in the 2024 Supers. Tomorrow, Lenoir-Ryne's going to have to win 2 to try to make history. If they can't, it'll be the Nighthawks packing their bags to head to Orlando and the Division II championships for the 4th consecutive season. Robert DiClemente and myself, Brendan Shabath, we thank you so much for joining us today for Game 1. We'll have Game 2 and maybe Game 3 for you tomorrow here on the Nighthawks